people of Earth, how are you doing today? My name is Kylie. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. So today I'm doing something a little bit different, as you saw, and I promise that the reviews are coming back next week. But a sub reached out to me recently and we had a conversation that led to me inviting her to be a guest on my channel. If you follow my vlog channel and you saw the video where I talked about this a little bit, you kind of have an idea of where this is going. And you would know that today is a very, very important discussion, and so without further ado, here is my interview with Mia Ballard. Okay, so this is my special guest today. Do you want to just introduce yourself, just some general info, what you do?
First of all, I just want to say thank you, Kylie, for having me on, because I really appreciate it. I think it's really great that we are having this conversation at all in the first place. So I just want to say a huge thank you for that. My name is Mia Ballard. I'm a trans woman. I live here in the UK. I'm an actor and writer. I co-direct a local theatre company in my local area.
Oh, very cool. We're here to talk today a little bit about Harry Potter, and I wanted to know what your initial reaction was to seeing that I was covering Harry Potter.
To be honest, because obviously just want to say, I've been a huge fan of your channel. I've been following it for roughly about pretty much just kind of over lockdown. It's been great content to enjoy because, I'm a huge horror fan. So, and it's great to see, women talking about horror, and also obviously you've made it a point of talking about social issues as well. So it's just been, all amazing. So
thank you.
Just watching your channel, I've been, enjoying it. And then I saw the first video come up for the, Philosopher's Stone review, and to be honest, when I first saw it, I was pretty kind of indifferent. I'm very aware, and I just want to say, before I say anything, actually, that I don't claim to be an authority on this issue, or that there's even any single right answer to how this is dealt with, because obviously there are many. But when I first saw it, I understand that a lot of people love it. I don't begrudge that. I have personal friends who love the series, so it didn't surprise me by any means that you were a fan. When I actually clicked on the video, and I guess it was funny because I actually watched your vlog, and I was kind of struggling to kind of vocalize exactly where it didn't kind of fully sit right with me, and then you kind of vocalized it in a way that really worked for me, which was that you kind of made that joke at the top of the video about Daniel Radcliffe, and it wasn't J.K. Rowling who wrote it and everything, and that I genuinely laughed out loud literally as I watched it. I've made that joke myself amongst friends, so it's not anything like that, but I think it was then just kind of afterwards, I thought about it for a while, and I was kind of if you're obviously doing a full series dedicated to every film, so that's around 8 videos and everything, and I think if you are gonna dedicate such a full amount of time to talking about this franchise, I guess it was kind of I feel because everything with J.K. Rowling is so kind of alive right now, it's very current, so I felt maybe that maybe there does need to be more, aside from just the joke. There needs to be, an actual conversation about J.K. Rowling and the current harm that, she's causing to a very, very vulnerable group of people. And the reality is the reason she has this platform, the reason she's able to do that is because of Harry Potter, is because of this, huge franchise that, that is so well loved. It's probably far less people that didn't grow up loving it than those that did. So, this is obviously a huge franchise, so therefore a huge platform for her. So I think it was more just like I say, it was that joke. As much as I did laugh, I got kind of coming away from it, I was I think maybe actually more seriousness does need to be taken, I guess, to what's going on at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So that was kind of what led you to reach out to me, right?
Yeah, definitely. But also I do want to reiterate that the only reason I felt comfortable reaching out to you is because you have been so outwardly progressive in your videos, and I notice you always have charities and causes in your descriptions and everything, and I just really I think that anyone who can do that should be doing that. So I just so massively appreciate it. And that is literally the only reason I felt comfortable reaching out to you, because I think if it had been anyone else, I think so many people think that, if we've got an issue with something, whether even just not just trans people, but, people of color, any kind of disenfranchised group that kind of wants to voice an issue with something, people can have that knee-jerk reaction. And sometimes rightly so, because it is a very contentious time on social media and everything, but there is this kind of knee-jerk reaction of, oh, they're trying to cancel me, oh, it's it's all over, and that's not you know, that's definitely not the place I'm coming from. You know, I love that we're able to have this, you know, conversation. So I felt able to do that because I knew that, you know, I would have been very surprised anyway if your response wasn't what it was, which was, you know, taking my concerns seriously.
Yeah, I think the whole kind of culture surrounding cancel culture is so ridiculous, like what it's become, that like I would personally rather call it accountability culture. And like I
Yeah,
really appreciate
absolutely.
you, like I appreciate you holding me accountable to this, because like I do, like I completely agree. It was a little too lighthearted of an approach that I took initially. So yeah, that brings me to my next question, like why is it so important that we condemn the words of J.K. Rowling? Like you mentioned some stuff going on in the UK, like regarding your
Yeah,
rights and
yeah.
everything. So
So, I mean, this question is one I've been kind of like trepidatious about answering because I think it's kind of, I mean, it's very, I mean, I'm a bit of an over talker anyway, as you'll probably learn as we go, but like it's kind of hard to kind of fit it into like one soundbite because there is so many kind of different things going on at the same time right now with J.K. Rowling. Because obviously, you know, I think we all have this thing where, you know, I don't think there's any single person that doesn't enjoy at least one thing that was maybe that is either, you know, lightly problematic or even made by a really, really terrible person, you know, because unfortunately the entertainment industry seems to, you know, really go for those kinds of people. But I think that why it's kind of so crucial right now in particular is because of the kind of what I would call urgency of the issue, because it's like J.K. Rowling, I think the two things we need to remember is that not only is she like actively transphobic right now, like she is currently making herself a, you know, a public enemy of the trans community, but she's also currently a very active contributor to the entertainment industry and to pop culture. Like in the last year has had 2 books published. She, you know, the Fantastic Beasts franchise is still very much active with the film coming out next year. She has endless, you know, brand deals with like, you know, costumes, DVDs, books, whatever it may be. You know, there's a Harry Potter version of everything pretty much. So, you know, she is, this whole brand is huge and still is, and she's still very much, you know, taking part in it. So it's kind of, and then on the flip side of that, she's very much taking part in, you know, being transphobic, in spreading misinformation and transphobic rhetoric. I mean, all of, you know, all of the things that she's done with it just within the last 12 months, which include, you know, if you just went on her Twitter right now and you scroll back, not even that far in her Twitter feed, you know, you will see criticisms of the trans community from, you know, supporting people who believe they shouldn't have to use trans people's, you know, correct pronouns. You know, this is something she has actively supported someone who got, you know, was reprimanded at their job for calling a trans woman he. You know, she promoted this person and was saying, I stand with this person. And she's also compared young trans people transitioning to like a new age version of like conversion therapy, which is just a horrifying way of looking at it. And, you know, other things throughout her Twitter you'd be able to find. And then aside from that, she released a book within the last 12 months, which, you know, had a character which is a man that dresses up as a woman to commit crimes against women, which is one of the biggest things that J.K. Rowling is warning people is a danger for, you know, which is a completely unsubstantiated fear, but she is very much perpetuating that idea. And then again, within the last 12 months, she published an essay on her website, which in my opinion could be better described as a transphobic manifesto, which basically condemns, again, trans children transitioning. She equates that to child abuse. You know, she believes that trans women are a danger in female exclusive spaces. So that includes, you know, changing rooms, toilets, but even, you know, going as far as domestic abuse refuge centers where, you know, it's, for instance, if I found myself in an abusive relationship, J.K. Rowling does not believe that I should be able to go and seek refuge in a place that would also house other women. If you kind of separate J.K. a bit, you've got the whole UK government basically, and I guess this is like a timing thing. You know, J.K. Rowling has come out with all of this support at the same time that the UK government has made it very clear that they are not here to support us. So there was recently a High Court ruling that prohibited the use of any kind of medical interference with trans kids. So that basically means that, you know, trans kids are now in this country unable to access hormone blockers. So that means that there are going to be generations of trans children that go through irreversible, changes to their bodies, which is not only going to traumatize them, but it's also going to make it harder for them to fit in society and be able to, socially transition in a way that, they're able to pass and not receive day-to-day discrimination. And these are things that have massively been championed by J.K. Rowling. And I'm certainly not saying that J.K. Rowling is, the be-all and end-all, but she is massively held up in this country. Her essay, the one that I just spoke about, was nominated for an award by the BBC, which is the biggest broadcasting company in the UK. So, the support is there. There has been an endless list of celebrities that have come out in support of J.K. Rowling. And just in my own personal life, I know of 2 women that have expressed support for her recent statements, because the important thing that's also to remember is that there are so many people that have never really thought about the trans issue before, but they're a follower of J.K. Rowling's, and then they see her spreading misinformation. And if the things she was saying were true, if women were really in danger, then yeah, that would be, of course, a lot of women are reading this and being like, oh my God, I didn't realize this was an issue. I need to, be on J.K.'s side with this, because they aren't, because she's the only education they're getting on trans people. And so then this creates, especially in this country, but absolutely internationally as well, this atmosphere of hostility. So, I certainly, just as a trans woman, feel more self-conscious entering a toilet in a public place, or, anything where I could be, if I was to be clocked, as we say in the community, in public, and if I was in one of those spaces, could I get a really hostile reaction? And of course, that would be horrible. So, I think it's important to remember that, JK's influence is very real. She is genuinely putting people in danger by spreading this misinformation, by putting her support behind people who wish to discriminate against us. And so most of all, to cap it all off, she's very dangerous right now to the trans community. And that is why it is so important to disavow her and to, remove her really from her platform, because, I'm a big proponent of us all having freedom of speech and the right to an opinion, but I don't believe in us all having the right to a platform, which means that you have, a reach to people where you can influence their views if you are then going to, spout hateful views that are going to harm an already very, very vulnerable group of people.
I'm glad that you went so in depth on that. Honestly, like,
I apologize for it.
Oh, please don't. Today is about you. I just wanted to share all your thoughts. I think initially too, my approach to it was so lighthearted because, like, obviously I'm a cis person. I'm a lot less aware, unfortunately, just like of what's going on in the UK. Here in the US, we just like passed the Equality Act. I believe the trans military ban has been lifted. I'm not sure if that's quite happened yet. And I also kind of just exist like in an internet bubble of, like on Twitter, like just basically everything that I see is like, okay, J.K. Rowling is a clown, like nobody listens to her. I had no idea about like all of the support, especially like from the BBC. That's so surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
I had
by the way, the BBC are the same company that air RuPaul's Drag Race. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy that these it just it doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense at all. So I wanted to ask you, were you a Harry Potter fan before?
I have to say I was more of a casual fan, to be honest, which I'm kind of grateful for now. But so I can't say that I had, I certainly didn't have like this emotional connection to the series like so many people do. But I've been very, privy to it because my friend, like I say, like I grew up, my friends, they went to every movie religiously. It was, a big event. I actually went to see the last Harry Potter film with one of my friends and she was just sobbing the whole time. So it was just like, I understand that it's obviously very emotional for a lot of people, but yeah, I have to admit that I wasn't always like, heavily invested in it overall.
Fair enough. So, okay. So then from your like more of like an outside perspective, what do you think it means to be a Harry Potter fan now? And like, how do you view the people that are kind of able to separate the stories from the creator?
I think that first of all, definitely separate, definitely
Yeah.
separate the Harry, the franchise from her, because again, the more we do that, the more we lower her platform. So, I just want to be so clear about this, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm this triggered, bleeding heart liberal who can't handle people enjoying Harry Potter, because I honestly really don't care that much. But, in the grand scheme of life, it's not the, be all and end all. But I think it's just, it's the same with all of us. Like I say, I certainly enjoy many things that, maybe not many things, I would hope, but I enjoy a certain amount of things that definitely were, like I say, slightly problematic to being made by genuinely heinous people. So it's, this, like I say, with the entertainment industry, it's kind of hard to avoid. So it's I don't begrudge anyone for enjoying Harry Potter. I completely get it. I understand that it's really been kind of like a ray of light for so many people, that it's so ironic because it's for so many people that feel like they're not included and feel ostracized, and it's really been kind of like a point of hope and love and all of that stuff, but for a lot of people. So I don't want to take that away. I doubt that any trans person really wants to take that away from anyone, and I certainly know that a lot of trans people even are a fan of the franchise. So I don't begrudge anyone that, and I think that the most important thing is just that we all be conscientious with the things that we enjoy and the way that we enjoy them, I guess, because I think it's important to remember that aside from supporting Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling financially, that is obviously really important, but I think despite what any of us do at this point, none of us are going to stop J.K. Rowling from being a very, very rich woman. So that's that is what it is at this point. But I think, again, as I keep saying, it's more about not furthering her platform. So, for instance, with this Harry Potter series you're doing, obviously it's kind of being offset with this conversation and with your openness to kind of have a larger conversation on your series, because that's all we can do at the end of the day. I really want people to be able to enjoy the series, and that is a completely kind of separate thing, I guess. But just be conscious, and none of us get it right. We all constantly make mistakes when it comes to being allies and supporting different communities and whatever. So I don't expect perfection from anyone, and I hope no one expects perfection from me, but just be aware, and especially right now at this really crucial and urgent time, with everything that's going on, with J.K. Rowling being such a proponent of coming out against trans people in a very loud and very current way. I think just be aware, and just remember that when you're buying an item, or when you're whatever it may be, always remember where it came from, and that goes for, like I say, everything that comes from someone who maybe didn't deserve that platform to begin with.
Yeah, and kind of to relate this to horror, because this is my horror channel, it's with the Scream movies, the first 4 Scream movies and the Scream TV show that were produced by Bob and Harvey Weinstein.
Of course, yeah.
It's it's so hard that there's things that we're so emotionally devoted to and stuff that just but I think as long as you're aware, because I said this in my vlog, I said this I think when I was covering Friday the 13th, that you can love what you love, it's just as long as you recognize what is problematic about it, and recognize what could be harmful to other people, and just I think recognizing it is the most important thing, so that people, and that's why I'm so glad we're having this conversation too, is I really don't want to alienate anybody with my reviews, and I needed to address this, especially concerning J.K. Rowling and stuff. So my next question is a little bit of a tangent, because I saw this video where a girl was getting her Harry Potter tattoos removed, but the one in particular was this signature that she had of J.K. Rowling and stuff. This is such a tangent. I just wanted to know your opinion on that, your opinion on Harry Potter tattoos. I don't know. I've been a little bit back and forth, because I have one, but none of my money on the tattoo went to J.K. Rowling.
Of course,
The association, just I wanted to know some of your thoughts.
I mean, to be honest, now, I can't, as I say with everything else, I'm certainly not an authority, and other people might feel differently
Yeah.
to me, but
Mhm.
I really can't see an issue with having a tattoo. You know, I think tattoos in general are a very personal thing, and you know, I just can't see the harm. To be honest, like, you
Okay.
know, I don't see any issue. I mean, if you want to remove your any, you know, if anyone wants to remove their tattoos for any reason, that's obviously their choice, and whatever makes you more comfortable. But equally, I don't see any reason to do that. I don't think that having a tattoo to do it, you know, unless your intention is literally, you know, I want to represent J.K. Rowling on my body, you know,
Yeah.
but I'm going to
Yeah.
assume that's really not very common. So, you know,
Yeah.
unless that is the case, I would say, you know, do you.
Sorry, not a super important topic, just
No, but you know, it's nice to do something a bit more lighthearted.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then I guess we've kind of already covered this because I wanted to know your opinion on like my best way to move forward with the series. I feel like we're kind of doing that, but like, you know, just where I should go from here.
I think obviously this conversation is so amazing that, you know, that just because regardless of Harry Potter, regardless of anything, you know, if anyone comes onto this conversation and is able to take something away, you know, positive, whether they agree with me, disagree with me, or disagree with both of us or whatever, you know, it'd be great if people could, you know, take something good away from the conversation. I think that's the biggest thing that can be done is what we're doing, and that is having a bigger conversation about this issue whilst it is such an issue at the moment. And then aside from that, obviously we've spoke about, you know, supporting, you know, trans charities and whatever, and I think if you throughout the series are willing to, you know, spotlight a different charity, as I think you mentioned in your message, I think that's a really great idea. If just for anyone that's watching, if you want to support, you know, the cause, and especially what's going on in the UK right now, and especially in regards to trans children, because obviously, as I've kind of covered, they're really the most, you know, in distress and in a really insecure, uncertain, fearful time. There is a charity called Mermaids, and they, you know, they support specifically trans children and their families. So that's everything to do with what's going on right now, to just generally going through transition, to after transition, mental health issues that might pop up, you know, confusions for families and what they might need to, you know, educate themselves on. All of it, they, you know, they support every kind of facet of that. And you can find them at mermaidsuk.org.uk, or you can find them on most social media platforms, either under Mermaids or Mermaids Gender.
Okay, great, cool. And yeah, that'll all be linked down in the description box below. And that was actually it for all of the questions that I had for you today, but I'll let you have your closing statement and everything. I just wanted to remind my audience that it is not the job of trans people to be educating us. I thought that Mia's perspective and opinion was really important, and I wanted to share it, and I was so thankful that she reached out to me.
I mean, again, I just want to say a huge thank you. I mean, it's very surreal to watch you on YouTube for like this amount of time and then us be having this conversation. I mean, I'm not mad at it, but it's definitely not how I expected it to go, even from messaging you. So I mean, this is more than I could have ever, you know, expected from anyone that I, you know, talk to about this issue. So I just want to say I really appreciate that. And, you know, I think this has been a really positive conversation. I feel you've been so respectful from the point I messaged you to now, and I think that's all we really want as, you know, as a community, and what, you know, most people who deal with that kind of, you know, oppression want from people who aren't, you know, in that group.
Mm-hmm.
Further from that, again, I just want to reiterate that I'm not the authority on trans rights or on J.K. Rowling. You know, there are so many different perspectives on this, and there are so many different, you know, ways of going about it, and I don't think that necessarily any of them are wrong unless they come from a place of being bigoted or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for having me, and I hope that this conversation has served to help people kind of, you know, understand why this is a problem for trans people, and you know, just the J.K. Rowling issue in general, and just even if you've taken a bit away from this video from the trans experience and something you may have not known before, then great. So yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, thank you so much for being on today, Mia.
Well, thank you for having me.
So there it was. There you have it. There was my interview with Mia Ballard. I hope that you guys found that to be as insightful and enlightening as I did. Mia is a super cool human, and I'm just so glad that she was willing to come onto my channel. Like I said, I think her perspective was really important. She was so well spoken. That was just a dope interview. So big shout out to Mia. And definitely check out the charities listed below, specifically the one that she mentioned called Mermaids. Everything will be linked down below. Let me know if you enjoyed that interview, and let me know if you'd like to see that more on my channel. If you'd like to follow me on social social media, follow my vlog channel, my Patreon, or anything like that. Everything, of course, is listed down below, but I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye!